Okay, how we doing here? Happy Saturday night. Whimsy with her retainer in her mouth. I'm sorry I'm late. I got pulled into YouTube land. Um, I thought it would be fun to get together with people. Excuse me. I'm having allergies again. Um, anyway, I thought, you know what? I don't feel like going out on a Saturday night. So why don't I just host a get big? That's what I'll do. I'll just excuse me, host a shindig and oh, that's not me. How interesting. They tricked me. This is me. Okay. There we go. So my apologies about the cough. I do have some water here. L'chaim, everyone. I've been having a lot of remotes about a lot of the stuff, and it has not been easy to be a remote viewer right now because I get attached to the person that I'm supposed to be connecting with, and then I hear their side of things, and I feel their suffering, and I feel bad. Um, And then I go out and I deliver a remote, and then I feel pressured to tell people what they want to hear versus what the truth is. And I think a lot of remote viewers and ethical psychics fall into this category. And you can be popular, or you can tell people the truth. And or you can just keep it light. I don't know, whatever you guys want. Because this channel is co-created, but so a lot of people didn't like the royal news or the Kate Middleton, the great mystery of the missing Kate Middleton. But it was a great mystery, and a lot of crazy things happened, and people wanted to let it go, and then they demanded that Americans call their princesses. No, that's your thing. That's your country. You want to denigrate yourself to a lower class than somebody else, but don't put it on me. That's your thing. If you want to acknowledge that Kate Middleton Windsor, Mountbatten Windsor is superior to you, if that's what you believe, you want to rise to this, bow to this princess. But as Americans, we fought and died a revolution so that we wouldn't have to do that. So, with all due respect, we don't do that in this country. But that isn't to say that we don't want the best for everybody, but we don't acknowledge these things in this country because we believe in pure democracy, theoretically, or at least we used to. Pure democracy, right? So, I said things that people didn't want to hear. And so here is some more of what people don't want to hear, but this is what I saw. I'm not dying, and I'm not going to die, as Kate Middleton. I'm not dying, and I'm not going to die. I felt tremendous grief and sadness that my marriage is coming to an end, but I heard myself saying that I had not been with my husband in 2.5 years. So it may take some adjusting for the public to get used to that, but I'm over it. At first, I was sad about it, but now I'm at a point in my life where I'm kind of moving on from my marriage. I'm moving on from William. I'm not heartbroken about the fact that he's not at the house very often. He's not at the house. He stops by. We were actually starting to have a fairly amicable separation. Um, I felt like William wanted to take control over things, and that was when the problems started. He wanted to take care of everything, and he should never have done that. And that was the problem. He took control over the media for her, and that was when disaster hit. So, what is the lesson of Kate Middleton? What is the lesson of Kate Middleton? The lesson of Kate Middleton is that she fell through the cracks of the NHS just as much as anybody else in Britain. And that is that she was young, she was healthy, she took care of herself theoretically, though I think in British life people drink too much. That's my own personal opinion. Um, and yet we're seeing cancer in people younger and younger, and we're seeing cancer in women getting missed. And so, what happened with the NHS and Kate Middleton is that the cancer wasn't detected, and they refused to acknowledge that she had cancer because she was young and healthy. And had they done basic cancer screening, they would have caught it earlier. So the lesson of Kate Middleton is that, like many women, she's falling through the cracks. And one of the areas where we're seeing a rise in cancer in healthy young females is colon cancer. And if they run a simple CEA, an elevated CEA will tell us that there's cancer in the body, whether it's ovarian cancer or colon cancer. And the NHS did not run that test on Kate Middleton. And so they failed to detect the cancer until it was more advanced. And that is the tragedy of Kate Middleton. Like many women, she is falling through the cracks of the healthcare system. And the other thing is what causes rises in colon cancer, ovarian cancer. Ovarian cancer, we usually see it in women at the age of 60, null parous, they haven't had children, maybe they have a family history of BRCA1, BRCA2. But here is somebody who doesn't have a genetic history. She is only, what is she, under 40? How old is she, 42 or under? I think she's 42, relatively young. She was not a typical candidate of what you would see for ovarian cancer. In terms of colon cancer, yes, that's more likely because we're seeing carcinogens in the meat, and people have gotten on this carnivore kick where all they want to do is eat meat, 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 and they don't understand that uh, colon cancer is associated with not having daily bowel movements, and that the more roughage, the more fiber, the better. So, what we're seeing is the increase in animal consumption. We're also seeing colon cancer increasing on the rise. Your bowels should evacuate every day, right? So, if I were to guess this person's health, I would say the underlying issue isn't what type of cancer, but rather the fact that women are falling through the cracks, and that we need to be checking for colon cancer. Any problems with it's a simple screening to take a CEA, and reassuring a patient like the future Queen of England, Kate Middleton, oh no, it's not cancer. Oh no, it's not cancer. Or she starts losing weight and people say, hey, that you look great, keep it up. And the person potentially has cancer. And it starts off as a tumor and the person's having problems or symptoms. If nobody's dealing with it and it metastasizes because the person's uh, because the symptoms are being ignored or trivialized, or she's being told she has mental health problems, which, by the way, is another thing that happens with, we're finding more and more stage 3, stage 4 colon cancer in women, and they're being told it's in their heads. And so they're being told they're mentally ill and they're being put on antidepressants. And it isn't until the cancer is advanced, stage 3, stage 4, that someone bothers to, hey, do a colonoscopy, you know, how about a fecal tissue sample, cold blood, how about some basic lab work like a CEA? And then we find out that, lo and behold, we've got metastatic colon cancer stage 4 or something like that. Is that what we're looking at? Because to have that discussion is more meaningful, I think, than to spread conspiracies. Don't you agree? That's the conspiracy, right? The conspiracy is that even the future Queen of England, they missed it, right? Let's do the Impass prayer. Okay, thank you for being here. I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and our good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys, to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together, collectively, as a community, we say, Amen. Thank you so much for being here. I've got a couple of announcements to make. First off, we have a new book of the month. For those of you who are part of our book club, our book is Spark. Spark. Kind of sounds like bark, doesn't it? I don't know. A heart-centered journey of growth, reflection, and unleashing your warrior soul. Have we done this one yet? I don't believe we have. And it's written by Gail Nienhuis. Gail Nienhuis. I think we said we were going to do it, but then we replaced it and then we never got to it. Yeah. So I'm very excited about this book, you guys. I'm very excited, and I want to tell you why. Do you know how we keep talking about how you need to find your vision, I need to find our vision, and that we all have to come together and stop with this Armageddon stuff and start creating heaven on earth, right? That's important, right? We have to create heaven on earth. So Spark is a series of journal and writing and meditation to help you come to fully understand why you are in the world, why you exist, and what your vision is. What is your vision, right? What is your vision? So that is our book. If Gail Nienhuis gets this message, you are our book of the month. Also understand, if you are an author and you would like to be interviewed for our book of the month, you can send us a copy of your book to Whimsy Anderson at 1819 Southwest 5th Avenue, Suite 116, Portland, Oregon, 97201. And we look forward to receiving your book and including it in our monthly Book of the Month Club. Y'all excited about the Book of the Month? I know I am. Yeah, good stuff. And stuff that gets in the way of you fulfilling your purpose in life. If you have shame, if you have self-talk, if you are self-sabotaging, then you are not going to fulfill your mission. So you have to go through the checkbook. You have to go through the check. For example, you may be very successful in business, but you may be self-sabotaging in your romantic life. Or you may say negative things to yourself. No one can love me because So whatever the vision is or thing you haven't completed, and then how you sabotage, and then how to work through it. So that is the book of the month. Okay. Yeah, so she looks painfully thin. So my thoughts are that NHS screwed up. This is just me as a physician, not as a psychic. I want to clarify. I'm just talking as a doctor. That gives me some ideas about what type of possible cancer this individual had as a doctor. And to clarify, I'm a naturopathic doctor, but in the United States, we have to go to medical school. We go to 4-year med school. So, um, the problem that I'm seeing in continuing education patient profiles is more and more patients that are being, by the time we discover colon cancer in females, it's advanced. It could also be ovarian cancer, but in endometriosis, hormones, the fact that, she had a history of that kind of illness with hormones, nausea, difficult pregnancies. Um, but I'm actually leaning more towards colon cancer simply because of the number of misdiagnosis of colon cancer and all my continuing education this week, because I have a thing called patient cases, and I just study patient cases so that I can know what to listen for in my patients and not just half listen. But what's been coming up over and over again is these missed cases of colon cancer, where these are 30-year-old girls, 35-year-old girls with stage 4 colon cancer. How is this going on? Why is this going on? Low fiber diets, right? A carnivore diet is a low fiber diet. You must be on a, this is simply not how our ancestors ate. Yeah. She was on some strange, she does drink. She does drink. She was the creator of the women's drinking club at her college at St. Andrews. Big drinker. And that's okay. God bless the Scottish. Uh, it's not my cup of tea. My point is that if you're looking at health risk, what do we look for when we look at somebody who drinks versus doesn't drink? If we're looking statistically at what are the increased risk of health problems, liver diseases, higher risk for Alzheimer's, higher risk of alcoholism, accidents, and certain types of cancers also are associated with alcohol. Also, certain kinds of dangers in terms of drug, even what we would think of as benign drugs or herbs. I'm concerned when I see uh, alcohol involved. So the face painter says she had private care. She had private care. Maybe she went to a private hospital, who knows? And yet here we have again a situation where I think people simply were in denial. And this is another thing that can happen with the patient, is that you want so badly for the patient to be okay. You want the patient to be all right. And so you keep telling the patient, no, you're in great shape. It's not cancer. And when you should be saying, you know what, whatever it is, we're going to get through it. And just keep reassuring them, you know, whatever you're going to do, we're going to get through it. Yeah, this is really interesting question, Teresa, about the Neurolink. The Neurolink is pretty interesting in the sense that it is very small fibers that are smaller than they're like wisp of a hair, and they go into the brain and they stimulate parts of the brain, right? So, um, if you're a quadriplegic, this is really amazing because the guy that got it implanted, he can move the mouse now. So, what would he be doing? He's playing video games 18 hours a day. Let's see, he was playing Death something for 18 hours, right? So to him, that was getting his life back, right? Because he could just with his brain play. I think it's incredible. I think it's a wonderful thing. And we also have to think about linking the brain, because these types of fibers that they're talking about can link damaged areas. If you have a spinal injury, say your neck is broken here between C1, C2, and it's blocking the impulse, the person may even not be able to breathe on their own. But if you can bypass with these fibers and jump and reconnect or connect to an outer source, then theoretically you could begin basically creating a bridge between those two neuronal pathways. And at that point, we've got liftoff, right? It's something really exciting. And then we could be seeing people not only being able to communicate with computers, but getting up and walking, right? Because of these bridges, we'll be able to neurolink, right? We'll be able to do linking, right? So that's another way, another concept they're thinking about. Let's look at the future of Neurolink. FDA would not approve them without animal studies. So what they did is they did the bare minimum of animal studies, and they created an animal enrichment environment to minimize suffering. They're really big animal lovers, but the FDA won't allow it without. So it was a difficult call for Siobhan and Elon and the other people involved, because that was the requirement by the FDA before they would transplant into a human. So it was transplanted into pigs and into monkeys, I believe. It is an act of love. It feels like it was created with the best of intentions. It looks like it was created in a positive way, the Knight of Cups. It was not developed by Elon Musk. It was developed by Siobhan. I can't remember her last name. I apologize. Out of Yale University. It's not it's not up to them. The FDA is responsible. You can't yet, it's out of their hands. The FDA will not let you put it in a human brain. It's just not going to happen. But you do have this Knight of Cups, and then you have this Ace of Cups, which is also really optimistic and a new beginning. The concern here is, will they be able to get the kind of funding that they hope to get with the Two of Pentacles? The clarification over that, moving very rapidly from phase 1 to phase 2 trials, and they will be able to get the funding they need for a wider distribution. You can see here Siobhan started with the best of intentions. Again, Elon is one of the engineers. He's funding it, but Siobhan is the main researcher. But things moving very quickly. 8 of Wands with her project, and then a Knight of Cups, and then Ace of Cups, and the opposition strength. So I feel like even their opposition supports them. And you can see by April, Ace of Pentacles, they have heavy funding coming in. And then the final outcome is, in terms of the ethics, everyone must decide for themselves the ethics. If you have something that's going to give people the ability to breathe and walk again, do you do it if the FDA demands that animals be used? For example, if the bare minimum of animal testing you can do is 10%, then Siobhan and Elon did 10%. if the bare minimum of animals that have to lose that, they always went with the bare minimum and created the most humane environment for the animals. So do we still not do it uh, if this is what the FDA demands? And that's the great ethical question, and everybody has to decide for themselves. Is a human being's life more important? The ability of someone who's a quadriplegic or disabled to walk through this research. It's a ethical question, but it's also unfortunately out of the hands. It's within the hands of the FDA and nobody else. Um, the last thing I would say about Kate Middleton is that it's not all dire and horrible when I become Kate Middleton. For starters, I'm becoming really active. I want to be more like Megan, um, and that's not a bad thing, by the way. Um, I feel like I want to have my own money, and I don't want to be financially dependent on the Windsors financially, and so. Um, As Kate Middleton, I can tell you that what I'm doing is I'm doing a lot of research into branding, how I can have my own brand, make my own money. And I've sought the advice a lot from King Charles III, who also has a brand. I want to launch a brand. I want to do this because I cannot rely on the Windsor money. I'm very fixated on the fact that I need to be independent and I need to have my own money as as Catherine. The other thing is I'm very aware that my husband and I separated 2.5 years ago. It was very, very difficult. It's been difficult, but I'm now moving past it. And the public isn't aware of it. But where I'm at psychologically is I'm over it. And my focus is I want to get this business launched. I want to start making my money. I want to get well. I want to take care of my kids, and I want to be able to be independent. Is it important for me to be queen and all that other stuff? Not anymore. No. Maybe because I got sick, maybe because I grew up, maybe Megan was a good influence on me, being able to see a woman who was independent. I know that's not politically correct in some parts, but she really was a good role model for a lot of British women that were still holding on to that fantasy of the prince is going to come. No, the prince was following her, and she's going to be a billionaire with this new business. So that's Kate's thinking. Kate's talking to Charles and thinking, I have to be as economically independent as a woman as possible. And I think Charles is encouraging it. Um, I don't know if they have to get a divorce, you know? I mean, it could be an amicable separation where they simply go and live their own lives. Because at this point, I feel as Kate, like, I really just want to move on. I just want to get well. I want to get my brand up. I want to be empowered. I want to be financially independent. I want to be my own person. I want to make sure my kids are good, and I want to move on from that. And I want it to be as amicable as possible. But last month, I'd heard myself say I want a divorce, and that one of the reasons he didn't visit me was because I didn't want him anywhere near me. So this is not, this is not a unified couple. It doesn't surprise me he wasn't with her when that video was made. Yeah. BBC claims it's authentic, so until proven otherwise. The other group claiming it's not is a right-wing conspiracy channel. I mean, I googled the name, and it's not a legitimate group. It's just another chaos group. So for that reason, I wouldn't take it too seriously. How is everyone seeing Kate? Let's see how Kate is doing. Fear of poverty. It's just something I keep thinking about. I don't want to be dependent. Remember Diana? She wanted her own money. I want to be able to purchase my own land. I want to have my own money, my own independence. I'm controlled through my poverty. She's broke. Wanting a foundation, she's trapped. She's trapped because of her finances. And then there's the king. It's this intentional desire to keep somebody broke so they have minimal choices. Look at this. She becomes the businesswoman. You see what I'm saying? Queen of Pentacles. Her opposition. It's like when they started spreading rumors before she finally made a tape that she had gone crazy, right? That she wasn't eating, that she was mentally a little bit lulu, right? Cuckoo. Like, it was almost like they were fighting. That he had separate, he was using the W. He was putting out bizarre things in her name. That got taken down, by the way. So it seems like some kind of truce has now happened. He's got to let her have some freedom, and they've got to let her build her own independence and her own money. She's got to do it. And if she hasn't done it up to this point, if she has not been as financially independent as she could be, you can be sure it's because they didn't want her to. Because you can see here again, coming into the money, and you can see this opposition is like with the hammer, with the wand, and building a case against her. Hopes and fears, a new beginning. She doesn't want to be entrenched and then having to defend herself against the king. So yeah, she's going to, I think Charles might help her with that. Charles likes her. What do I think of oregano tea? I think oregano tea is good. My big favorite tea right now is Greek sage tea and honey. Right now, I'm just having a simple English tea. It's absolutely delicious. Will William marry his mistress? I don't even know if he has a mistress. I mean, is that a true story? I did see that he was with potentially someone. The problem I get when I go into William's energy is that at a very early age, nobody said no to him. He started to realize that he was going to be the king, and I can do whatever the hell I want. Like drinking at 13, 14, and his mother. It's almost like when he turned 13 or 14, when he bar mitzvahed, he reached a certain age. He was at a higher rank than his own mother. I don't know what that is in the British tradition. If he overcame some milestone in documents or something, but something shifts right around the age of 12 and 13, 14, he begins to dominate his mother, Diana. And like, obey me, woman, I'm the future. I feel this energy that I cannot, as Diana, control him or say no to him, and that I find myself a lesser rank than my own son, which is a very strange feeling for me to have, just as Whimsy, as someone who's been asked to be the remote viewer. I find myself in a strange situation with my own son, where my own son is outranking me, walking ahead of me. He'll drink the wine if he wants it, and it's a problem because I've got a possible megalomaniac here. I've got a kid with a head injury and nobody can tell him no. And I think it continues on. William cannot, oh, please, can you stop fighting with your brother? Oh, it's going to be the death of me. Do something. Do something other than whine. While William sits and smirks and plans to try and kill his sister-in-law, complete psychopathy, because this is somebody who needs to do more than just be told, oh, please try and get along. Really, that's the best you can do. He doesn't take control of the boy. And so it creates a kind of psychosis where no one has said no. And now he finds himself in a situation, William, where he cannot control the narrative. And he's terrified the truth is going to come out, that he's a spoiled brat, that he's temperamental, that it's his way or the highway. And that it's yes, dear, yes, dear. And I think in the case of Kate, she just really is over it, And it's better to get, wouldn't you rather have an amicable separation than be fighting with somebody? But let's see if he's going to be with his mistress. It's rumored. Rose Hanbury said that's not true, that it's all just made up. So who knows? Right now, he's the Ice King. He's not close to anybody. He's the Ice King. His opposition is financial wealth and independence. There is something about William where he very much wishes that he could be free, that he could be like Harry, independent, free, my own money. That is his opposition, his hope and his fears. His finances keep him trapped. He and his wife are trapped. They can't just throw in the towel and say, we quit, because they don't have any money. I mean, the truth of the matter is these two should just work out their problems and skip down the road and save their relationship and quit. And go get they got a little money, go get a cottage somewhere, maybe in Scotland. They love it there. And because look at this, they're just trapped by their finances and obligations. And I mean, that's really what destroyed their relationship was being a royal. I mean, if both of them, they prefer to do their own house cleaning. That's actually true about them. They don't have housekeepers for the most part. It's just her and William washing dishes. They like it that way. To some extent, all of this other stuff has been, it's been harmful to the good old days when they really miss the good old days of simplicity. He's confused about his marriage. I think in some ways his soulmate is Catherine. I believe he married his soulmate. She's been with him through thick and thin. He came of age with her. She put up with everything. His opposition is Kate's interest is elsewhere. I feel like Kate is interested in someone else or something else. Again, the issue is money. And then the final outcome, his partnerships. I wonder what's going on I want to check their relationship, if it's okay with them. It's always with permission, but I always feel like you don't know what you've got till it's gone. Say he was treating her in a way where he didn't respect her, and then she got sick, and he's like, well, I can't divorce her now. I mean, the whole world's in love with her and she's sick. So I'm going to have to be in this relationship longer, right? So on the one hand, he could be thinking, well, we can't announce. We were just going to announce that we were separating, and now that can't happen, right? That's how it feels. Like they were separated. We've been separated for 2.5 years. We haven't been physically together for 2.5 years. We've been experimenting with being separated for like 9 months. He doesn't come home for a week. He doesn't live here. That's how I feel as Kate. We don't live together. He lives somewhere else. He comes here, he checks in, he comes and goes, but this is not his main hangout. Sorry, folks. We're actually okay, William and I. We're kind of moving past it. It's like, live and let live. These two were best friends. He trusts, come on, man. He should go back to trusting her. This girl is loyal. She's not his enemy. Um, she's an artist. I don't think he'll ever get anybody better. It's not like somebody else is his soulmate. I don't get that. I think he just wanted to be free and was acting out. If you really want to know the truth, with this energy, I'm trapped. I'm trapped. He drinks. He has a temper tantrum. He goes off and has an affair, like daddy, because I can. But may actually be thinking, what the hell am I doing? It's for him. It's always been Kate, perhaps. That's another way of looking at it. I mean, let's face facts. She's pretty. She's the one that he'd be a lot worse if it weren't for her. I think he wants to save his marriage. I see him wanting to save his marriage. I don't think he can, and I think that that's why they're back up to William and Kate. She's moved on. The guy, what did he do? Take her ring and take control of her social media account and have temper tantrums and make her life hell. And then eventually, what? She agreed. Okay, fine. Well, I will play the game a little longer so that people don't think you're a horrible person. It doesn't matter anymore to her. That is the best way for me to describe how it feels to be Kate. I've moved on. Like we have not been intimate in 2.5 years. We're friends. He can always come to me. He can trust me. I'm his buddy, but we're not in love like that anymore. And I see some other man around her. I don't know who this is. Not Kingston. He got into the whole Russian money thing. They're all the MI6 is all over his company. That's what that was about. Yeah, I think King Charles, because I did a remote view on it, and I felt King Charles was helping her because she really look. I don't think that Kate and Meghan are at war. I think that it was all William. William forbid Kate to call that woman. You are not going to pick up the phone and call that woman. He's the future king. She can't say no to him. Just like Diana couldn't say no to him once he reached a certain age. He was going to do whatever the hell he wanted. He was going to walk ahead of Diana, and then she has to try and discipline him. It's just, it just wasn't working. Let's see what else people want to talk about. Oh, yes. The other thing I wanted to talk about had to do with Putin and the war that keeps coming up, because sometimes some remotes, like the thing with Kate, for whatever reason, I just was really on that remote. The other thing I wanted to talk about had to do with Putin and the fact that they were in serious financial problems last year when they fired Prigozhin, and that is why they fired Prigozhin. And I don't know why this is not more public information. I don't know why no one's talking about this. Am I the only one talking about? I don't know. If you want a remote viewer to tell you what's going on, Russia doesn't have any money. I don't believe this crap about they're going to get 30,000 new fighters. From where? What are they paying them with? Dirt? Bitcoin? Ethereum? There's nothing left. There's no money left. The country is bankrupted. And so now the other thing, this is the other thing that I felt, is that if mediation was not brought in, this was from 5 years ago, that this situation could escalate. But you have to understand, you don't threaten nuclear war against Europe. MI6, CIA, the EU, NATO, they're not just going to sit back and wait for somebody to drop atomic bombs on them, right? They're going to do something. And so now we're seeing troop mobilization of NATO in Poland. And Putin is saying that Putin is also starting to pull troops out of Crimea, evidently. Some troops are starting to be pulled back because of the NATO Ukraine offensive. I don't think that he can afford another winter. Let's take a look. He's lost 90%, over 90% of his military. Think about that. I mean, how? What? I mean, come on. There's no training. They're going straight. The Russians are telling me that they don't get any training. They're just being sent straight to the front lines. And if they have a chance to surrender, they will. Raising the flag, judgment. They will surrender. The Russians will surrender. If they are forced to fight, they will surrender. I'll tell you why. Because when we spoke to the high school students, they said they had no choice but to engage in civil war against their country because they didn't want to die, and because the government was not listening to them, and because the courts were at war with their own citizens. The people are rising up and surrendering to NATO. They're surrendering because their own country has given them no choice. And so we, the people, surrender. The opposition is winning. The hope and the fear that he has the power to control things. Look at his finances, selling Peter to Paul. Look, the problem is he's desperate. Putin is desperate and he doesn't have any money. Don't you just love remote viewing? I mean, like the crap we find out. You know, people that psychically predicted he was going to drop dead 5 years ago. I said, I don't think so. I think he's got a drug problem. I think he has used heroin. He's having a health problem now. It's affecting his judgment. They're basically saying that whatever his health problems were, it impacted his ability to make proper judgments. His opposition is that they've got more money, and look at the Six of Wands, which is marching into victories with his opposition. Again, if you're using a classic blitz, it's your 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th of a Celtic cross. And remember, your 8th house is always your house of What is your opposition doing? And according to this cards, and if you look at it just from a remote viewer's perspective, the army is winning and they're better financed. You guys want to talk about it? Hi, baby. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Come up. There you go. Hi. Kiss, kiss. All right. Um, so I'll be back in Israel in May, and I've got exciting news. The University of Haifa's PhD program, the head of their medical anthropology, would like to meet with me. And looks like they may be sponsoring the Oasis One project, and maybe I'll be doing my PhD through Haifa, through the Oasis One program. They looks like they very likely will be sponsoring it. So very exciting. I got the letter yesterday. So what is the Oasis One project? It's how do we create a peaceful border. So we're building these kibbutzes, settlements that are integrated, that Palestinians and Israelis can live in, that create unity and cooperation. So we're hoping to get as many oases as possible, as soon as possible, built in Gaza so that good people can get away from all the crazy. So I did send another letter to the Knesset today, and more letters yesterday. I'll keep sending letters. I'll be back in Israel, and I'll get to hopefully meet the staff at Haifa U in May. So I'm totally crazy, and people are listening to me. It's a wonderful feeling. So what do I think as the person who wrote the thesis? Yes, I don't think I'm having a reaction to her. I apologize. Conservatives who love Israel, right-wing conservatives who love Israel and who voted for Donald Trump have to understand that if they really love Israel, they're not helping right now. If you just look at it like an anthropologist, because what they're doing is they're provoking more and more and more animosity. So unity, how do you if you don't want a terrorist to come into your school and shoot a bunch of people, the first thing you do is you don't isolate mentally ill kids and give them black trench coats, right? Like what happened in Columbine. So you don't build a wall to separate people. You do everything in your power to not break down communication, if someone's upset, you talk to them, you include them, you work towards unity. Um, you don't build walls and isolate. So the fact that Trump pulled U.S. troops out of Syria, which is why Hezbollah went in. Trump helped Israel get attacked. 70,000 Israelis have fled in the north and are now can't go back because Hezbollah repositioned themselves when the US left, and that was arranged by the conservatives. So they were just gazing at the moving of the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. That was more sexy to them than looking at troop movements. It was like the precious. They were drunk on this idea that Trump was going to. They were so fixated on, and still are, with the moving of the U.S. embassy to Jerusalem. They forgot. They were looking at that, and they weren't looking at U.S. troops withdrawing and Hezbollah moving in. And they weren't thinking about the fact that Russia had infiltrated Israeli intelligence and security. We had serious breaches when Russians began to enter Israel. They didn't look at that. And they didn't look at the relationship between Putin and Iran, his ally, and Syria, his ally. They didn't look at that. And they didn't look at the fact that he was meeting with Hamas privately prior to the attacks, which happened on Putin's birthday. So if you care about Israel and you care about Palestinians, you should not be voting for Trump. And instead of provoking people to be angry, which is what Ben Shapiro likes to do, you should be trying to get people to build, what do we have to do to build a border that looks like Canada? And stop with the religious rhetoric, right? So yes, Bibi was just all about beating people up and everything you could do to make people want to retaliate. Building a wall, being harsh and merciless. Well, that'll teach you. No, you have to give people a way into the good life. And, he just screwed everything up. And now he's adopted some of the Oasis ideas that were presented, but you can't smash someone over the head while you're implementing Oasis One project. It doesn't work that way. The whole point of Oasis One is that eventually we merge and we become a tolerant society. And that's the eventual goal, is unity. It's the only thing that's going to save Israel and Palestine is we have got to start building unity, even if it's only with 3% of the population. Say we have a kibbutz that's only 3% of the population of Gaza. Eventually, if we can create a great life, more and more people will join. That's unity. You have to give people hope for their future, and you have to encourage unity, not separation and we're better than you are and putting up bridges. That's a guarantee of terrorism. Terrorism isn't attractive if you're the star of the party. If it's your birthday party, why would you be a terrorist if we're celebrating you? Everything that he could do wrong, he did wrong, Netanyahu. That's not how you deprogram a cult. And Hamas is a cult. And it should have been addressed as a deadly cult. First off, why were they attracted to a deadly cult? Well, for starters, you isolated them. Just like if you isolate North Korea, that's so dangerous because they've got a wall up, and so the people have no connection with the outside world or limited connection. If a death cult is the one teaching them from birth on that dying, you child are born to die, killing Jews, if that's the cult, then that, and you've put people up in a wall, you've done nothing to, you've only made it worse. You've done nothing to diffuse the situation. So Bibi, yes, he created this. He created from an anthropological perspective, he created the very environment that nurtured this. We know how to keep somebody from being a bully. We know how to keep somebody from joining a cult. And you don't build a wall, you build a bridge. You go in and hey, buddy, why are you angry? Why are you upset? The more you include somebody, the less violent they become. The more you can intervene early on if you see someone's prone to violence. The answer is love, Ace of Cups. Women will rule the peace movement going forward, not men. Women's voices. A stalemate, no. Unity, Two of Wands. I'm telling you, Benny Gantz of Unity Government is going to win. And people are just really wanting to go towards unity, Two of Wands, unity. Who wants to see people? Most people don't. God, it's so psychotic. On both sides. It's just. Oh, I think that's definitely happening. My concern about the Oasis program is that I'm concerned that we wind up where I certainly don't want it to be. Um, it wasn't my intent to do that. I guess that's what I should say, right? Beachfront property, huh? Well, the road, see this road? So say you bring tourists in. This is going to be a crazy Saturday night or a Friday night if you're young people. You see this roundabout here? Okay, you go through security and then you visit the various different oases. The ones further down here, this is the beachfront that everyone's talking about. So yeah, if you had these peace oases between Israel where people agree to non-violence and then they just build prosperity in peace, and you have Bahrain, United Arab Emirates, and possibly Egypt and Israel overseeing these oases so that the trade can happen, then what eventually happens is that Hamas collapses theoretically. This is the unity theory. Because what happens? Would you want to live out here? Or would you want to go to the oasis where everything is great and wonderful? Well, of course, everybody wants to live in the oasis. The question is it going to be like Maui? Yes, you could theoretically have a problem where it becomes like Maui, which is why I think we stand a better chance of success of not having that happen if you bring in someone like Benny Gantz versus somebody like Netanyahu. Yep. Hi, Mila. I love my cat so much. I love my kitty. Oh. Hi, Yolanda. I missed you guys, even though I'm coming back on tomorrow. Oh, I don't think Jared's going to wear an orange jumpsuit. I think that he made a deal with the FBI a couple of years ago. We did a remote on it. And he was able to evade prosecution. We said that he had called the FBI through his attorney when his wife told him that her name was on the signature of properties and a bunch of criminal activities associated with the Trump. Remember that remote from 5 years ago? Well, that was fun. So, I don't know. Let's see. I don't think, I'm not holding out much hope after that deal that Jared made, that we saw. But that's an example of a remote where pretty much talk about disappointed. Well, isn't going to be charged for anything? Come on. But he was smart because he called the feds, and that's exactly what he should have done, is called the feds. All right, how is Mr. Jared doing? He's got new projects. He's got new investors. He attracts investors. Ace of Wands, new business, new investors, judgment. There's something about the Queen of Swords. But these are like major multi-billion-dollar roads and highways. Look at this. He got the construction. Look at that, Three of Pentacles. Well, does he know Elon Musk? I mean, like now they're doing fundraisers for the rebuild. So it could be that they start investing in kibbutz Berli and some of the kibbutzes and some areas of Gaza that are going to have integration kibbutzes and things like this. Yes, because you have this Knight of Cups coming in. So I think that's very true that he will be involved. And yeah, here's the construction. So yes, very much he will be involved. Yes, very much so. Lindsey Graham is a really interesting character for me to remote view because I can only see what people are willing to tell me, but um, whatever it appears that he has been compromised. He keeps talking about parties and oh hi Copper Brew. Um, that he attended some parties and something about some event that happened in Nantucket. I don't know. I don't want to know. Um, let's find out. What is going on with Lindsey Graham? Lindsey Graham. He feels like his career is over. My career is over. I tell you, this guy thinks that Trump is going to kill him. He fears for his safety. Death. His opposition is the King of Wands. He wants mercy. You should have never gotten involved with that guy, I'm telling you. It's like, what the heck happened? Is it Roger Stone goes? I'll tell you, I think Roger Stone hires people to go and get dirt. And I think, and they were also getting dirt through that newspaper, National Enquirer. All that dirt, what the heck happened to that? And they were locking it up. I mean, they had all these blackmail schemes that they were part of, and it's just they were blackmailing people. They blackmailed the AG and to evade prosecution. I mean, they were doing crazy stuff. But um, he gave up so much that he signed his own death certificate. That is basically from his perspective, his career is over. It isn't just that his career is over, it's this feeling that he did it to himself, that he gave up information that he gave up. It's just like a death certificate. Six of Pentacles, a judgment, somebody coming after him, confusion. Could be something about the legacy money, something about the money, possibly the RNC money or money that has to do with the legacy. Yeah, it's very interesting. Maybe we'll do one more. We've been here for a while. The Langford Bill. Ah, yes. Let's take a look. I have another remote I wanted to give about Donald Trump. Um, you know, Biden met with Obama the other day, and Obama was being his typical Obama self. Stay the course. This is going to be a tough. It's going to be a tough election. No, it isn't. I mean, I know he needs to say that. It's going to be a tough election. Stay the course. Not really. I feel when I go into this energy that Donald Trump's campaign is a disaster. It simply does not take off or build the momentum that it did the first time around. It simply lacks the magic. This is his third time around. The first time he won, the second, he lost the majority, but he won. The second time he lost again, and he also, the third time, people are just tired of this guy. It feels like it just falls apart. And the same is true for the GOP in the House. I feel that when you go into the energy of the Langford bill, that if you really want to save your seat in 2024, you should probably begin to start reaching across the aisle and working with Democrats. Because you have this legacy and then you have this trapped kind of feeling. Eight of Swords is when trapped by paper. So if you're talking about a bill, so they are trapped by their own party. The other thing is that they're constantly being helped by the Democrats. It's almost as if the Democrats want to save the Republican Party. The hope and the fear is the strength of the president. And they are trapped by Trump. See, this devil and this Nine of Swords, they are one seat away, and Marjorie Taylor Greene is ready to fire Johnson, right? Is that his last name? So I think the Democrats will win by default just because so many Republicans are dropping out, leaving, getting prosecuted. Let me take a quick look at Jeffries, because I think Jeffries is probably, before 2024, we could wind up with the Democratic lead. We only need a couple more seats to have a Democratic lead. All we need is a couple of Republicans to flip for us to start pushing major legislation. And you can see from those cards, Trump is a losing battle. He is not going to take this party anywhere but nowhere. He's going nowhere fast, and the momentum is with the Democrats. Sun over the Democrats. It's interesting. All this Johnson with with the conflict issue. I feel like we coast. It's just like a coasting. I feel with the Democrats, and I think that Also, we have a lot more money. It's looking like, oh my God, we just have so much more money. Look at this. Look at how we coast. I think what happened was that Donald Trump felt like has already announced that he has the right to take 30-something million off the top. So it's kind of doing exactly what we had predicted, which is that Trump is just taking what he wants for himself, and that means that the down ballot races are doomed, and that is a death nail to saving the House and the Senate. because all the money is going to Trump, which is a losing battle. So they put all their money into a sinking ship and didn't save those seats that literally were on thin ice and needed funding. And instead, the Democrats went in and flipped them because we diversified our money. And so that is why we flipped so many seats. Meanwhile, they fumbled. They never got off the ground, the Trump campaign. This is what I predict. And did not adequately fund their down ballot races. And that for that reason, it could be very catastrophic for the Republicans going forward if they simply can't get it together and get organized. All right, I'm going to call it a night. Thank you, everybody. I did not cough at all. I'm shocked. I thought I was going to have a huge coughing fit, and it didn't happen. Okay, be well. I'll see you all tomorrow for the big show. Be kind to all so that all will be kind to you too. And have a great night. Much love. Night. Peace out.